The world of data visualization seems so complex. There are so many charts and data viz tools out there. Which visual should you choose for what kind of data? Well, what if you had a simple tool that would help you choose the right chart for the right message? And even if you are using an AI tool to create your charts, what if you could prompt it better based on a foundational understanding of how charts work, not on a superficial guess? Hi, I'm Ravi, a storytelling coach who has trained over 10,000 mid to senior level leaders across companies on the art of storytelling at work. I've also guided over 200 nonprofits on crafting a better pitch, enabling them to secure hundreds of millions of rupees in funding. And I've written a highly rated book on the topic. In this video, I will share a simple charts choice flowchart that you can use to choose the right chart for your critical data findings. Let's start with a couple of examples that illustrate the power of visuals and answer the question, why do we need charts in the first place? For example, if you wanted to study global population growth by country, would you prefer a table like this or a simple yet arresting visual like this? If you want to talk about inequality in India, you could talk about the many Indias with vastly different incomes and wealth levels. You could talk about how the top 8% of our population account for 60% of our consumption. You could talk about how just 0.3% of Indians contribute to 80% of the income tax. Or you could just show this picture. Visuals have power. They convey a lot of meaning using very little space. More than 50% of our brain's surface is devoted to processing visual information, leading to what scientists call the pictorial superiority effect. When you want to clearly convey data, ask, how can I show, not just tell this? Now, you might feel lost in the world of visuals though. Which specific visual should you choose from the plethora of options? Basic charts, advanced charts, photos, icons, screenshots, emojis, infographics, memes, cartoon strips, GIFs, especially if you feel that you don't have a good visual sense. And especially when it comes to the world of data or numbers visualization, there are dozens of books and tools that can help you choose and create the perfect visual for your data. Many of these deal with cool, fancy charts such as tree maps and sunbursts and radar plots. Making these charts seems highly effortful, but surely the audience would appreciate them, right?
Huh?
Here's the thing, you don't need them because they fail a key test. A useful measure of your visual's effectiveness is the 5-second test, a term coined by leading venture capitalist Vinod Khosla. If the audience is unable to understand the slide or chart in under 5 seconds, it is too complex. Fancy visuals almost always fail the 5-second test. That is why top visual storytellers like The Economist, Financial Times, McKinsey, Sequoia Capital often stick to simple charts like lines, columns, and bars, despite having access to all the advanced visualization tools at their command. So, how do you choose the right chart for your story? Let's learn with a basic example. Look at this table and tell me which chart would you choose for this data table. A lot of you might choose option C, which is not a bad one. Some might choose option A, while some others might choose option B. But it is a trick question. Actually, you cannot say which is the right chart because you should not pick a chart just based on the data. Between the data table and the chart, you need a very crucial intermediate step, knowing your message. Even a data table as simple as this one can have multiple messages coming out of it. You could say company A is weak in north while B is very strong. You could say company A is strong in south while B is weak. Or you could say both companies are roughly equal in east and west. Or you could say the regional sales mix is different for companies A and B. If you take the fourth message, can you identify which of the four charts from the earlier picture brings out that message the best? Most of you would be leaning towards option A, the pie charts, or option B, the stacked column. That does make sense, since these two charts quickly bring out the aspect of the differing mix. Charts are pictures. Pictures give you multiple impressions. Unlike text, which is just usually read once, pictures are like paintings, which you can observe multiple times and find new insights. The implication, in any chart, you have to ensure that the audience gets the message in the very first impression of that chart, Not with the second, third, fourth, or fifth impression, but the first. So instead of the message, the mix is different for both companies. If you wanted to present another message, say both companies have similar market shares in East and West regions, the pie charts are a terrible idea. The audience will have to move their eyes around the pie till they get the message in their fourth or fifth impression. You don't want them to spend that extra time and effort. And so you pick option C, the cluster bar chart, which ensures that the audience gets the message in the first impression itself. So, step 1 for choosing the right visual is to know your message. Step 2 involves identifying something known as the comparison factor. Consider the following 4 messages dealing with a simple business metric, revenue. Message 1. Our revenue has grown by 20% over the last year. Message 2. Our revenue is second highest among competitors in the industry. Message 3. Our revenue accounts for 35% of the group's revenue. Message 4. Product-wise revenue growth shows strong correlation with distributor margins. Now, each of these messages deals with revenue, but each of them is using a different basis for comparison. For example, the first one, our revenue has grown by 20% over the last year, uses time as a comparison factor. The second one, our revenue is second highest among competitors, is using the comparison factor of ranking among peers. Third, our revenue accounts for 35% of the group's revenue, uses share of 100% as a comparison factor. And fourth, product-wise revenue growth shows strong correlation with distributor margins, tracks the correlation between two variables, revenue growth and distributor margin, as a comparison factor. These are the 4 most commonly used comparison factors. Once you have identified the comparison factor being used in your message, then you can choose the right chart for it using this nifty tool, the Story Rules Chart Choice Flowchart. Let's build it. First, write your message from the data. Then ask, does it have one variable or more? If one variable, then find the comparison factor. Is it a time-based comparison? If yes, then choose from these 3 charts based on whether it is only time, time plus rank, or time plus share. If time is not involved, then choose from these charts based on whether it is a rank or a share. Finally, if it involves more than one variable, you can choose a few options available for correlation-based comparisons. So, that's all about choosing the right simple visual for your data. For charts, craft your message first and then choose the right chart based on the comparison factor. It could be time, rank, share, or correlation. Use the Story Rules Charts Choice Flowchart. You'll find a link to download a high-res PDF of the same in the description of this video. By the way, this content features in Story Rules, my book on storytelling techniques published by Penguin and available with all major book retailers. Story Rules distills 31 proven storytelling techniques and 300 plus real-world examples into clear frameworks that you can use right away. Click on the link in the description to get a copy. May your story rule.